Level up your success with the ICABA World Network, where accomplished Black professionals and entrepreneurs have created a thriving global ecosystem built from valuable connections and impactful collaborations. Be a part of a trusted network that uplifts, inspires, and enhances your success. Join like-minded and leading Black professionals to foster meaningful relationships, unlock opportunities, and access the resources you need to thrive in your career, business, and life. Go to ICABAWorldNetwork.com and join today.
All right, so we want to welcome you to the October 24th edition of Black Professionals Month, and we're talking about servant leadership today. And we are here with Johnny Lloyd and Debbie Bailey, and so we're going to jump right into it. This is the fourth of the four-week series, and today we're going to talk about servant leader profiles and what type of servant leader that we are and what type of servant leader we aspire to be. And all right, so the question on the table, first off, is do you consider yourself a servant leader? We'll go with you first, Johnny.
Okay, I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say yes in growth and growing more into it, if that makes sense. I haven't always been. So the answer to that is yes.
Okay. Debbie?
And I'll just copy what Johnny is saying. I strive to be. Yes, I am. I'm striving to be. And I just want to interject here that I'm learning so much how to be better through this program. And there's so much that I'm learning with Black Professionals Month that's shaping me to be a better servant leader.
Okay. So when we talk about servant leadership, there are certain characteristics of a servant leader. And I think that anytime that we aspire to be something or to do something, there has to be a certain, if you will, design factor to it, you know, because if we're trying to do or be something, then we have to define what that looks like. Two, we have to be intentional about, you know, doing or being that very thing. And then, of course, if we really want to be effective and grow at that thing, we have to review, reflect, measure, assess how well we're doing that. So let's roll back to the first thing in terms of defining and what that is for us. So Debbie, I'm going to start with you, and then we're going to go back to Johnny. And so for you, you know, Debbie, what exactly does being a servant leader mean in terms of your interaction with people? Because as a servant leader, as we've talked about through the past several weeks, it's not just about being in one context, meaning that it's not just about what you do at work, it's not just what you do at home, but it's really about who you are and how you engage with people, you know, generally speaking. So going back to the question, you know, for you, you know, what does being a servant leader mean for you in terms of how you're going about approaching your engagements, your interactions with people?
Okay, so for me, what I'm learning with servant leadership is just as I'm treating my health, it's a lifestyle attitude. Servant leader is a lifestyle attitude for me. So I'm learning to do that. So we have this simple phrase that we say, what will Jesus do, right? Mm-hmm. And I try to apply it. And when I think about it, I'm actually leading by example. So we hear the word servant, so we're serving, and we hear leader, so we're leading. So it's kind of like a, what's it called, an oxymoron? You're serving and you're leading, right? So it's like those two words coming together for me is like real powerful. So I see that when I lead, I have this phrase to give value, always want to give value. And when I lead in different examples, like at work, I will tell my staff, however you came to me, if you plan to leave, you're going to leave being better. So I lead them like more like them, me serving them than them serving me. So that's one example. And in home, I try to do that. At church, I try to do that too, where I more gravitate towards the less fortunate, the homeless, the little children. People are having bad times, but when I leave them, whatever conversation I have with those people, I find myself more like not making the situation work, like not condemning, that's number one, and not treating them as if they're out there and here. You understand? We're on the same playing field. And so I try to lead by example, but in leading that, I find a way in most circumstances, I'm trying to find a way to serve them because I want them to be better. So that's if you understand what I'm saying.
No, good. No, I really do. And makes a lot of sense. So Johnny, same question to you. What is, servant leadership, for you, and what does it mean to you in terms of how you engage with people?
One of the things I can look at for a servant leader is that a leader knows the way, shows the way, and goes the way, right? That they're out in front. So I'm like Debbie mentioned, she said, it's like an oxymoron, you serving and leading. However, when you know the way, you can serve the people that have to go the way. And you serve from a position of alertness, and servant is a place of the heart. So when I look at that from that perspective, is my heart reflects my hand and what's in my head, right? From my perspective. And so it's a head, heart, hand issue, because typically you serve with your hands up. And it's a position of, for me, I'm learning to, I'm gonna say pray, pray and praise with my hands up, because everybody you serve doesn't appreciate what you're serving them. And then, or they may not value the servant or what you're serving them. So it's a position of, you have to know who you are and why you're doing what you're doing, because the results may not always appear the way that you desire them to look. Or people may taste what you have. Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good, right? A lot of people have taste, but they didn't stay. They came in for the sampling and they want the things, but they don't want to do the work. So from that perspective. So the other thing for me is I've had to grow in the space of listening and my empathy and my self-awareness, to not be emotionally driven, because my emotions can cause me to to react in a different way. And then the other thing is let people know who I am, not be afraid to show up without blame, without shame, and just being authentic. That doesn't mean perfect. So, and it's a place of stewardship, because you have all these people that are with you that are trusting you to know the way, right, Debbie? I mean, and then you look at the thing, and so you're just stewards of them. You don't own them. They work with you. For me, they work with me. They don't necessarily work for. I mean, I know you may pay the paycheck and all that good stuff, but it's not from the perspective of I own them.
Right.
So I want to infuse and help them where they're at. What can I do for you? How can I help you? So that's what I would look at it. From the platinum rule, is what does the person need versus what do I need? But there's some dynamics to that. Truly. Sometimes you can give other people what they need and you feel empty. So you have to learn as a servant how to fill your cup. So I'm stopping right there.
You're muted, Hutch.
Okay. Thank you, Debbie. Let me tell you what I've heard, and correct me if I've missed anything or got something wrong. So, Debbie, you talked about WWJD and serving and leading, putting those together, giving value, helping people to be better, leaving people better than you found them, so to speak, and leading by example. Those were my major takeaways from what I heard you say.
Right.
Anything wrong, or I need to add anything to that?
No, that's good.
Okay. All right. Johnny, place, operating out of a place of the heart. You talked about the head, heart, hand, empathy, not being emotionally driven, being authentic and transparent. You didn't use the word transparent, but that's what I heard you say sounded like transparency to me. And stewardship. Did I miss anything, add anything, get everything wrong?
No, I think those are the major, yeah.
Okay, all right, good deal. So as we talk again about this whole design issue, and there is clear, if while I didn't ask you that question, but you guys consider yourself to definitely be servant leaders and wanting to be that. So it seems to me that you aspire to be the best servant leader that you can. That would be kind of go along with the process, right? And I know you ladies, so you're not trying to do something half. You're gonna do it all the way. So we know that. The characteristics of being a servant leader. As I've listened, to you guys, there are definitely things in here in terms of empathy, dealing with people in an authentic, transparent way, leading by example, helping people to be better. Is there anything in terms of being a servant leader that you want to develop in terms of your servant leadership that is not quite where it needs to be today, or maybe it's not there at all? Okay, because there are some servant leadership characteristics that were not mentioned by either one of you. So I'll give that as a little bit of a clue. And just to let you know, I am going to go and talk about certain servant leadership characteristics. So this is not, it's not a test. It is to help you discover, so I'm not testing you. This is more of a discovery for, trying to really come up with that servant leadership profile that you want to pursue.
I don't know if it falls in, but in my line of in business, when Dr. Reggie did that presentation about monetizing your business, and she talks about the things that you should do, I always think about how I could use my business to serve people. And I have a problem that I think is in my head, and I'm not putting it out the way people can get the message of how to do better, how to collaborate, how to, it's like, I think I have such good stuff, I think, but I am not serving it. People are not getting it. So the long and short is that I feel it is in my head, and I am not fulfilling what I think like my small businesses should have, what they should be doing. Not thinking necessarily of monetizing it, but just showing them that path. And I always believe that if I give value, success will follow. So I think I'm stuck. It's not coming out. Like when I talk, I probably think that my talking is that people are not getting it, because if they did get it, they would have reacted differently. So that's one of the things that I'm stuck with, my idea of serving and people getting it. Does it answer you?
Well, it does. And I want to encourage you about that, Debbie. So I'm going to do this now. First, just make sure I don't forget. So we talked about the other day as it relates to prayer. And when we pray probably generally speaking, people began looking for the signs that the prayer is being answered, you know? And, but one of the things that those of us who've been on a journey with our Lord for a while, we know that his prayers are answered in a lot of different ways, you know, and some are answered, some are delayed, and some flat out denied. But we also know that whatever we pray, that the answer to that prayer, while it may seem to be denied, is the answer that God has given us, because that is what's best for us.
Okay.
When it's denied or delayed, when it's delayed, sometimes it's not because, you know, he doesn't want you to have it now, because there's things that has to happen in order for those things to manifest themselves.
Gotcha.
And so as you are working with people, sometimes whether it is, in some cases, it could be a full transformation, or it just may be, if you will, an adjustment to something that they're doing that they need to do differently. Either way, on that spectrum, there may be and will be, not maybe, there will be, in many cases, a lag between when you've shared and when they've actually reacted and acted on what you told them.
Well said, well said.
Okay. And I'll give you an example of something. You see this? You guys see this picture? This family picture here? Can you see? I just want to know that you can see there's a family picture there, and behind it is a letter. Okay. And this letter came to me in 2020. And this guy says, Hutch, I am sending this letter in appreciation and to say thank you. The time you invested in me by sharing wisdom and knowledge was invaluable. We have all heard the word mentorship. And at our last meeting a few years ago, I was at a crossroads between my finance career and my entrepreneurial goals. With some simple questions you asked and some insight provided, I made defined choices and developed a 10-year plan for career and family. I'm currently a branch manager at Wells Fargo, and based on what I learned from you, I've developed mentors in varying roles in my profession as a financial professional, sticking with my investment background, entrepreneurial spirit. I have a 10-year plan for real estate development, and so on and so on. My family life is excellent. My little ones are amazing. My wife is the best. I made sure in all my planning that my family comes first. It was important for me to share with you some of the great things I have to say that you help to inspire and provide insight on. So, and this just showed up for me and as a Christmas card, 2019, along with Roger candy. But I had to stop and go because I hadn't talked to this guy in several years. And so to the point that I was making with you, Debbie, you never know when, how, where, what you say and do to people shows up. Just know that the more seeds that you plant, the more opportunities for the flowers to grow.
Good, thank you.
Okay, and they will. Okay. So going back, as we were talking about the characteristics, of what you want to aspire to achieve as a servant leader that maybe you're not necessarily doing right now, or you're working to get there and develop that particular part of being a servant leader. Is there anything else you would add to that, Debbie? I know you were concerned about, how things are happening in terms of what you're sharing and how it's really connecting to people,
No, I'm thinking about it. I have some other things, but my thoughts are not there yet.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Johnny?
Well, I'm going to kind of piggyback kind of like what Debbie said. Historically, especially a while ago, a long time ago, I thought it was my job. And I want to stress that I thought it was my job to make sure not only that the person transforms, is that I wanted them to transform and bud in front of me. Whereas even what we're talking about today reminds me that one may sow the seed, others may water it, but God gives the increase, right?
Mhm.
So it's that space that it's like having a baby. I want to see the baby grow. I want to see the benefits of the baby. I want to see all that, right? So that is a place that I have to pull down my emotions and come back and release it in faith to say, okay, making sure I did my assignment, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
I did what I have been assigned to do. And now it's for the next person to provide or do, or for the person even to do. So it's over mothering, if that's something, because I care deeply. I care deeply. So and I have to, there's a lane. So that's the thing that I work on. I work on not over helping, providing the way, and giving people the choice to take the way.
Mhm.
So that's one of the things that I personally have to work on, because I do productivity and we do profitability and all that, Debbie. So we want to see it. So anyway, so that would be the piece. But the other area, to be honest, is it's trust.
Mhm. Okay.
Trusting. I'm gonna call it different. Trusting the process, or trusting the progress, or trust. Okay, so as a servant, I can, in some cases. Okay, so my name is Johnny, and I have control issues. So sometimes I want to direct the people, like, okay, I'm telling you, this is good for you. I need you to bite off this, because once you taste it, you're gonna love it, whatever. And I have to bring that down and trust them, and trust God, and trust that part of the trust. Is my
Okay.
function as a servant leader is to serve what's on the plate. It's their choice, trusting people's will, that they will select what's good for them. And if they don't, that they will spit it out. Is that a good, with that scenario, or that they will stop chewing on it, or they'll learn, or whatever. So yeah, so that's my thing. My thing is the element of trust, to
I want to,
increase my trust.
yes, I get, Johnny, you helped me to put my thought in order, as you said that, just getting that trust. So I can relate to what you're saying now, because what my next point was going to be, as a servant leader, is I am obsessed. So I am obsessed with serving that I'm not monetizing. So that's where I need help. Because when I think about what I do and the money I get in, I spend more time. Because if I share something with someone, like I find something and I said, this was good for John. So I will tell John about it. Guess what? John is going to call me back, ask me how, why, where to. I said, John, just read it. I didn't read it. I read the first paragraph. You have to go and explore it. But I felt so guilty when they come back and then asking me other questions, because some people don't hear what you're saying. They just know that, listen, Debbie sent it to me, so Debbie know how to do it, So I find myself, just obsessed with their success, leaving mine behind. And also I do volunteer work, and I even had that conversation on Friday with the people I volunteer with, the Urban League, and tell them I feel like I'm just volunteering, or people just think my work is a volunteer work, because I really want to help them. I want to show them. I have this thing in my head that if people go to the league, if I serve them through the league, then the league will pay me. But now I'm volunteering through the league also, and that's where most of the work is, in my volunteer. So I really, although I have a strict say, okay, I do it only on Friday for an hour, I'm still finding out that I'm doing more than that hour. So it's like one of the things as a leader, because of my passion for their success, I want to see them grow. I am helping them but I get obsessed and is constantly in that space.
Wow.
I think you had the answer to your, dilemma that you just described, kind of right at the very beginning, Debbie, when you said that, I sent this to you, because I knew it was of relevance and think that it would be of interest to you. And I haven't had a chance to look at it, but I sent it to you because of just that reason. And hopefully it'll be that, and then just let it go. And there are times like, what you just did, it's kind of funny. Years ago, my first, I would say like for successful business was a company called Movies Plus. And we were a home entertainment store selling records and renting videos. And then in 1996, I, along with my dad, we launched Kentucky's first Black-owned TV station. And in that process, a guy who had gone through leadership Louisville named Michael Mountjoy, who was a partner and principal in a CPA firm called Carpenter and Mountjoy, was started sending me articles about broadcasting. And because he knew I was, working on raising money to start the TV station, and so on and so forth. And he was faxing it to me. So that tells you how long ago that was. And that was all it. He said, "Hey, Hutch, saw this, thought you might be interested." Boom, send it to me, and that'd be it. And if I probably had anyone have a conversation with him about it, and he knew, but I knew most of it, he was just saying, "Hey, this is stuff for you to look at," and I would do just that. But what ended up happening was I had a CPA at the time, and very good guy. He was a brother. Was my dad's CPA. So there's a lot of, if you will, as my dad would call it, interlocking relationships there, with this guy named Ollie Green. And, but man, I was so impressed with Michael and how he went out of his way, to share information with me, without, me being a client, without anything else, that when I started a TV station, we needed a new CPA. I didn't fire Ollie from, my other business, but I hired Carpenter and Mountjoy to be my CPA firm for the TV station. And so, and that was probably like a 2-year process. And I suspect that I wasn't the only person that Michael Mountjoy was sending information to, and so it's not necessarily a volunteer thing that he was doing. It was a planting seed relationship development thing. Okay. One of the reasons why we're talking about servant leadership and defining it and being intentional about it is that when you do that, the intentionality also allows you to begin to put into it, the output that you're looking to achieve, the outcome and the results that you want out of being in servant leadership, so that you don't just do the work, if you will, without having an idea, a vision, of what you're getting out of it. So Stephen Covey always says in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, start with the end in mind. So if you're a servant leader, what is it that you want to achieve out of being a servant leader? What outcome, what results do you want to see come as a result of you being a servant leader? And if that is that you've just poured into a whole lot of people, then you'll be good. But if it is in part as to how you can grow your business by being a good servant leader and helping people and pouring into them and so on and so forth, then you've got to put some pieces in there that takes it from, I did this, but out of this, how does it help me move forward? And so one of the things that you just talked about, Debbie, is that you have to be careful that people don't take, your willingness to pour into them and support them from the perspective of that you're volunteering to give away your intellectual property and your intellectual capital that does not allow you to then grow your business. So one of the things you have to build into the process is that as I do these things with people, okay, and have this conversation with Reggie Lewis. She and I have had this conversation a number of times, and she has been in that mode for a long time, and she's really has pushed back on it, meaning that she's very intentional about not letting people just kind of take her time, you know, and knowledge and use it without there being some commitment to it. Not only from the standpoint of getting paid, that is a part of it. There's a big part of it. But also she wants to know that if I'm going to pour some time into you, that you're actually going to do something with what I give you. Because some people will just kind of, you know, drain you, you know, for what you have, because they don't want to think, they don't want to work, they don't want to look, they don't want to research, you know. And that's another one of, I know, the things that's, you know, one of her dynamics that she's working to turn around in terms of her relationship with, you know, the people she does business with, friends and family. So does that help, Debbie? You know, understanding how you want to say, and I guess I didn't leave, let me give you one last piece of that. So if you're giving people advice about things, particularly in your professional realm, give them advice and know that, hey, once I've given you some advice, I would love to be able to sit down and help you some more. And so why don't we schedule a discovery meeting? You can become a client and I can work with you and help you to really grow your business. So it means that you have to determine when in the process of you engaging with people, you play that card. It may be the first time after you've done something with them. It might be the second time, the third time, the fourth time, but you decide that. But once you make that decision to create that card and you start playing that card, then that's going to move you out of the space of being someone who's always giving and not being able to also use the things that you're able to and willing to give to help you to build relationships that grow your business.
I like that. I really like that. That nailed it for me, that last comment. It had me thinking what you said about the card when in that relationship, because when you were talking, I'm thinking about all those relationships where it keep going and going and going, but I could have said that, you know, could have interjected that, okay, here's what we do, you know, and make it be nowhere they're paying for the service, because it kind of like, I go around in circles with this a lot. So thank you.
And I would tell you, I'm in the same boat, okay? Because people come to me, want to get connected, you know, get information, so on and so forth. And I tell them, you need to join ICABA, okay? Because I've literally invested millions of dollars into ICABA, okay? And if you're not willing to pay a few $100s to be a member, because anybody I connect you to, information that I give you, you know, that came from work, time, effort, research, and money's applied, and so on and so forth. And if you're not willing to respect that, then why should I be willing to just, you know, give it away? You know, again, I'm not going to do the, like, I'm not going to talk to you unless you join ICABA. You know, I will talk to you and I will advise and help people, but I've learned to take it to a point.
Okay, so I'm gonna jump in because I'm sort of like, Debbie, me and you really need to sit down and talk for real. For real.
Okay.
Part of because I can relate to that, you know, because I've had, you know, the amazing career and all that. So I came out of that and kept my grandson, right? And so then I went through this phase of, well, I really don't, you know, God's blessed me, you know, I want to go into the servant mode and da. And so I thought, and I'm working through that. I want to be clear that I'm working through that, is that the monetization is a thing for me. Now you would think, because I never had a problem with that in corporate, never had a problem with that anywhere else. But now it's something like, at some point, there's this thing that I'm turning up fire, intensifying my intention. Is serving doesn't mean free. So what I am learning is that there is a free platform, and I tell people this is a free platform to get whatever. And then this is the fee platform. If you know, want to connect with me, this is the fee platform. And so I'm learning that, and that it's not one or the other, it's the level of service that you get. Because if I go into McDonald's, the service that you get in McDonald's is not the service you get in a 5-star restaurant. But you're not paying McDonald's prices, right? You're coming in expecting something different. So I'm learning that I am not fast food. That's not who I am.
Mhm.
I am
Ruth Chris.
look, a step above. Look, I got the Ruth and the Chris, you know what I'm saying? So, but I'm working in that. And it's not that I didn't have the expertise to do that all along. It was like at some point, and Hutch, maybe you can address this for us. At some point, I felt like, God, you've given me all this, you know, like I just felt at some point I was being ungrateful, if that makes sense, you know?
Mhm.
Or maybe it was my excuse. Let me be honest. Maybe it was my excuse for not asking because I'm not a big salesy person, but I am an opportunity person. And so I had to move the thought of sales to a perspective of I'm giving you an opportunity to grow. Because
Hey
what
guys,
I give
I'm
you,
gonna tell you something right now. Get this whole salesy stuff that you think about that people say a lot of times out of your head.
okay, so help us.
Great salespeople do a couple of things better than most people.
Okay.
So let me ask you, what do you think is one of the first things? What's the one thing that when you think of a salesperson does well? Both of you. What is the one thing when you think of a salesperson that they do well? What is it that they do?
They know how to close the deal. Besides, communicate.
Well, okay. All right. Debbie, what do you think?
I think they articulate well. They know what to
There
say.
you go. So
Yeah.
I love the way she came up with that big word instead of saying they talk.
Yeah, that's
All
true.
right.
They have that gift, you know.
The
I
gift
mean,
of
or I
gab,
should say
right?
gift, but yeah.
All right. That is not the profile and the top characteristic of a great salesperson. First off that. Great salespeople are great listeners.
Okay.
Secondly, they have high empathy.
Okay, so I'm 2 for 2 so far, I think.
They are also humble.
Okay, well, you know, we're working on that.
Okay. They're competitive
Nah.
and results driven. And they're also organized and strategic. So let me hit you with a couple of them that you didn't expect. Okay. The listening part. How can I sell you something if I don't know what it is that you want or that you need? So how do I learn what you want or you need? Do I learn it by talking or do I learn it by listening?
Listening.
Mm,
Great salespeople ask great questions.
okay. Love that.
Okay. And they're definitely not, if you will, open-ended questions. I mean, they are open-ended questions. You know, you've got to ask questions to get people to talk to you and tell you what they want. They also are empathetic. I mean, have you ever been around somebody when you went to buy the dress or buy the car, you know, and you put the dress on? Oh my God, that dress really looks good on you, you know? And sometimes, you know, it's said and you're like, oh, you're just trying to sell me this dress. Other times someone says, so, you know, that dress really looks good on you because I think green is a good color for you, or red is a good color for you. Or, you know, it really hits you right here and makes your shape look good. And then you go like, wait a minute, they really are paying attention because, you know, you didn't just say that that dress looks good on me. You gave me a specific comment, okay? And so empathy is when you are really kind of coming at somebody by what's good for them. Empathy is not all about, you know, sympathy. Empathy is about connecting to that person and being in, if you will, accordance with who they are and what's important to them, okay? That person that does that for you, not only do you usually end up buying from them, but you walk away feeling good about them. If you get a chance, you come back to them. Boy, if they send you a survey, yeah, I'm gonna put on, yeah, you know, Susan was great, you know, da 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 da. We've all had those kinds of experiences with people who have helped us with something that we were looking to do, looking to buy, where we felt like that they heard me and they truly understood what I was looking for, and they really tried to help me to get it. Humility. I've talked about being humble. It is a natural extension of listening and empathy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because if it's all about me, I ain't listening to you, and I definitely ain't being empathetic. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so being humble means that, in part, you subjugate you in favor of the other person. Okay?
Yep.
So great salespeople help people to get what it is that they want or that they need. That's the true art of salesmanship. Not the person who just talks you into something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not the person who's, you know, the sharp dresser, shows up with all his energy and gets you all fired up and stuff. Because you know what happens with that? When it's gone, then you said, did I really want to buy this? I didn't.
Buyer's remorse.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, you know, and so you go back for repeat purchases with a truly gifted salesperson.
Mm-hmm.
You run away from a jive ass salesperson, so to speak, when you see them coming the next time.
Mm-hmm.
They may have talked you into it the first time, but they ain't gonna do it the second time.
Yep. Yep, I got it. I got it.
Anybody can listen.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody can be empathetic.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody can be humble.
Mm-hmm.
Organization, the strategy is what I was talking to you about earlier, Debbie, meaning that what do you do to create relationships with people, build rapport? Because without a rapport, you're not selling anything. And the rapport typically comes when you establish an interest in that person. That comes out of empathy, that comes out of listening. The organization part is that if you are well organized in what you're doing and you know what your objectives are, then the things that you do will be tied all together.
Right.
So spending your time helping people is part of an organization or an organized strategy of how you're going to leverage who you are, what you bring to the table to get you where you want to be. And you do that because you want to serve others, but you also have a game plan so that, you know, once you do that, it leads you, we call it the sales pipeline. You know, you walk in the door, okay? When you walk in the door of a car dealership, first thing we want to know what you're looking for. What's your budget? How much you want your monthly payment to be? Everybody's heard those questions if you ever bought a car. Okay.
Right.
All right. And those questions I will be asked until the end of time, you know, because that tells them what they need to be able to do in order to get you in that car and drive out.
Right.
Okay. And so for you, you have to understand what is it that I need to ask all the time that helps me with people to get them to where they want to be. Okay. And so anyway, that's it. I'm gonna stop right there because it's 9:56.
No, that was excellent. Seriously, thank you. I mean, honestly.
Yeah. And I got it.
Yeah, that was excellent. I feel like I need to pass the offering plate.
Well, I'll tell you what, I left off one thing and I'll talk about that and we'll close out. So I talked about competitive. Okay. And I didn't lean into the competitive piece of it. Okay. Salespeople who are really good are very competitive. They want to win.
Like Precious.
Yeah. Okay. They want to win. You know, it's all about the W. The difference between being a really good salesperson is how you create win-win scenarios. You cannot win as a salesperson if the only person who benefits out of the transaction is you. Okay. And you definitely don't build a relationship with people or a track record that takes you to success with other people if everybody that you sell something to feels like that they came out on the short end of the stick and you're the one that came out winning all the time. And that's where the humility has to come in. And and you could say it's a dichotomy and almost a disconnect. How can I be humble and be competitive at the same time? You can be, because the competitive drives you to find a way for both of you to win.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, yes, yes.
You are not going to allow yourself. I had a situation once, and someone who taught me this, a guy named Don Pickett. I got to look him up. This brother, years ago, I was just coming out of college and I was working for his company as a manufacturer's rep. He had a chemical manufacturing plant, young brother up in Dayton, Ohio. And there was this guy, he manufactured cleaning chemicals and all kinds of stuff. And so there was a brother in Lexington, Kentucky, I'm living in Louisville, who had a janitorial service. And I had created, the lead here in terms of the business development opportunity. So Don flew his own plane, flew down to Louisville, picked me up. At 22, I was like, whoa, man, this is cool. He picked me up in the plane, got in that plane, scared the hell out of me because it was a prop, but that's a whole nother story. We flew on into Lexington. Man, this guy was hard. And I was giving up. I was like, man, we ain't gonna sell this. Man, Don would not quit. Okay. And I remember the first time I went to, and unfortunately, I can't remember the scripture, but I remember the first time that, the only time actually, I went to Don's manufacturing plant up in Dayton. I went up there with, I don't think we were married at the time. Maybe we were. So I went up there with my wife. We were married, we were married at the time. And so we get there and we're walking into the plant, and there's a big boulder right there in the yard as you are as you walk in the door, with some scripture on it. And like I said, I forget exactly what the scripture was, but he explained to us the purpose and all of that, which is one of the things I learned, that obviously he was a Christian and, practicing. And so going back to when we got down here, so we're meeting with the guy. Don would not leave until we got the deal done. Okay. He was determined to win, but he had to do it by coming up with ways for this guy to get what he was looking for and cut a deal that made sense for everybody. Okay. But that competitive drive kept him at the table. How he went about it was employing his listening, his empathetic, his empathy, being humble, finding the win-win scenario, and so on and so forth. And so, humility is definitely part of it, but humility and competitiveness are not mutually exclusive. And a lot of people don't understand that about sales.
Okay. I love this. I love this. And so even with my session that's coming up, I get some pointers right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a
break off of here. And this is something that I'm going to do right now with the two of you. Okay. All right. For the past year and a half, I have built out platforms for a global online community, a trusted global online community for Black professionals and entrepreneurs. We are now moving into phase 2.
Okay.
Phase 2 is to build out programs. Okay. Our programs right now are not fully in place that really makes our community being the living ecosystem that it's intended to be. So I'll give you some examples. One of the things that you're going to see as we go through the rest of this year is that we're going to start having twice a month a new member, event. Probably end up going to be like a lunch event or something like that. I'm also going to start using a service I just described to called Video Ask. What it allows me to do is to send you an email. And in the email, I come up and say, hey, Johnny, thanks for joining ICABA. Push this button and record a 45-second or a 60-second message about who you are and what you do, so we can let the members know who you are, And so I'll get that back, and then I can just pretty much put that in the, a community and let people meet the new people who've come in. It has lots of different applications to it. I'm also creating the collaboration zone. The collaboration zone is where we're going to start basically creating our own B&I, using referrals, okay? We're also going to use it to find out what challenges, opportunities, or problems that you're having and how somebody in the community can solve them. So what will happen is there'll be a little short form. So Debbie, you'll say, hey, you know, I'm trying to meet somebody at Wells Fargo because I'm trying to do a deal with them. Does anybody know anybody at Wells Fargo?
Mm-hmm.
That will go out to all the members of the community anonymously. So we're not going to say who you are. They're saying, hey, you know, one of our members is looking to meet somebody with Wells Fargo. If you think that you can help, respond back, and then you guys will connect and you all will talk and take that lead. Okay. So there are things like that, okay, are coming that I think are going to bring significant value to what we're doing with ICABA. And there's a lot more of the stuff they want to do. We're creating a founders group. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff that's, you know, going to be happening, particularly once I get through with Black Professionals Month. But I am telling you, I'm not asking, okay? So I'm telling you that both of you are going to be coming along with me for this ride.
Yes, sir.
And both of you are going to be fully engaged. And I'm going to put you in charge of pieces of this, and I want you to build it out. And I'm building this out in a way that will not only allow you to feel good and to lean into that natural giving spirit that you have, but also to fulfill, you know, the other things that we're all together for is how do we grow our business and drive revenue. And so everything I'm doing is creating revenue opportunities, not for just ICABA, okay? Yes, for ICABA, but not just for ICABA, but, you know, creating revenue opportunities for everybody that's participating. Because Debbie, one of the things I've told you is that next year I want mastermind groups to get to the point where people can start charging, you know, for people to be in your mastermind group. And we're going to be, you know, working on that all throughout the year to make that happen, and it'll be an ongoing thing. So, so get ready, ladies. We're getting ready to go into a whole nother phase of things with ICABA.
Thank you, John.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, I have to run. I have a 10 o'clock, so I want to close out.
I gotta go.
Okay, take care, man. I gotta go too. I got church.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye. Thanks again, y'all. Have a
Thanks.
good one.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye.